All right, hello again, ladies and genitals. Welcome back to the Splash Zone. I am your host with the most splash, and today we're going to be talking about an upcoming asymmetrical multiplayer game and give a little bit of predictions as to if we'll think it's any good or not. Now, if you've seen the title of the video, then you already kind of know what we're going to get into. But I'm going to save it for a second, give a little bit of a explanation as to where this is coming from, because I've been wanting to do a video like this for a while, kind of just where I can talk about something that kind of gets me excited and perhaps put new eyes onto something. I mean, this is a franchise 30 years in the making, and if you haven't seen this anywhere, then you must live under a rock. So if you do end up enjoying this video and you want to see more informational or opinion-based content, commentary-wise, however you'd like to phrase it, let me know by dropping a like or leaving a comment, leaving some topics. Towards the end of the video, I'll be addressing the future of the channel once more. I seem to do that every time I upload at this point. And the other types of content I would like to make moving forward without trying to be definitive or give any kind of definitive time frames. So if you're interested in that, feel free to stick around to the end of the video. With that all being said, let's talk about Dragon Ball The Breakers. So if you asked me a year ago if I'd be interested in anything related with the Dragon Ball property or the Dragon Ball franchise, I would probably have politely asked you if you enjoyed dragging these balls across your face. Get it? See, Dragon Balls? Dragon Balls? Okay, I'll see myself out now. So I've had these two friends in particular who have memed about Dragon Ball, specifically Dragon Ball Z going into Super, talked a ton about it. One of them actually is here on YouTube. She just made some banger Dark Souls 2 content. It feels like not too long ago, but feel free to check her out, Ultra Pandora. I'll leave her link down in the description. She's a bit of a Dragon Ball aficionado, so do yourself a favor, check her out. So when the announcement for The Breakers first came out back in November of 2021, I just knew that we were in for such a treat of a video game. As a Dead by Daylight addict, let's say ex-addict, this beautiful discovery of a video game made me interested in the series. Also, of course, with the help of these two particular friends. So the mainline series came to Crunchyroll. Funimation and Crunchyroll kind of merged in that aspect. The three main ones being original Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, and Dragon Ball Super. And before anybody says anything, yes, I'm leaving out Dragon Ball GT because what the fuck? With the release date of October 14th of this year, 2022, coming fast for The Breakers, and the footage from the closed beta coming out, I thought it would be a fun idea to kind of take a look at what's going around the internet and make predictions as to whether it's going to be a dragon banger or if it's just going to flop. I mean, these games are kind of hard to gauge. So what exactly is Dragon Ball Breakers? For anyone who may not know the asymmetrical multiplayer genre, this game in particular takes a 1 versus 7 format, kind of in the same vein as games such as Dead by Daylight, Friday the 13th, and even Evolve, which, I mean, if you don't remember the last one, don't worry, none of us do either. So essentially, it's one bad mamma jamma, typically called the Raider, against 7 survivors. Out of the survivors, you can pick from some of your run-of-the-mill generic characters that they'll call Earthlings, both male and female in their respective genders, or you can even play as some Dragon Ball OGs like Bulma and Oolong. Yes, you can be the scared little piggy Oolong running for your life. So out of the Raiders, of course, you got to have some of the iconic ones. We get 3 in particular. We get Cell, Frieza, and Boo all in their retrospective forms. And this is shown in a leveling system. So level 1 being their first form, all the way to level 4 being their final form. So if you're thinking about someone like Cell, they start in their larval state and then they work all the way up to perfect Cell. As a survivor, your goal is to gather items to help you survive and gather these keys, which will unlock a exit time machine, or essentially just an exit to win. And as a raider, of course, you have to kill everybody. You can even destroy their way out in these little time machine things, or you can run the time down, and I think you get a win that way too. So at first glance, I'll say graphically, it's not the greatest. I mean, when you see good graphics, you probably think of the latest God of War trailer for Ragnarok. By the way, absolutely fucking beautiful game. I'll link some of the videos that I am referring to in the description below. I even looked at some of the wiki stuff that was just put together based off of the trailers. You can Google Dragon Ball Breakers and you can find the wiki for that. That's how I was able to gather some of the information from this video. So I'll leave those down below if you want to check them out and kind of read up for yourself. As for the gameplay, between reading comments on some videos as well as observation, it doesn't look too smooth. The camera is one thing that I've noticed that I'm just kind of like, oh, like this is weird, because it's not your typical like Last of Us over the shoulder third person or just something like that. It's more of like the camera, I don't know. You'd have to see it for yourself, I think, because the camera does not like keep that over the shoulder perspective. Like it's almost like the camera's a box, right? And you move your character in that box, and if you move your character towards the outside of it, the camera will move with it, but like in a behind perspective that's also not behind. I don't know. I'm just kind of rambling about the camera at this point, but it's not traditional to say the least. As a raider, to kind of go more into the mechanics side of the raider, you have to level up, as I mentioned, from 1 to 4 to get your final form. To do so, you can either attack and kill survivors, so the actual players in the game, or there are NPCs. In some of the gameplay that I've seen, there's been like Namex. Some of the Namex even have like the Dragon Balls, and you can actually use the Dragon Balls to summon Shenron. And depending on if you're a raider or survivor, you can wish for things like extra help against the raider, or as a raider, for example, Frieza can wish for immortality, basically meaning he takes no damage, and it's just game fucking over at that point, I guess. I don't know. But I assume when you kill the NPCs, they don't give you as much XP as you would a survivor or a player character, but they are probably easier to find or easier to locate just because they don't necessarily move. So as a survivor, you aren't completely hopeless. Items such as a rocket launcher or even a dragon radar to find the Dragon Balls can be found. The Dragon Radar can be found on both sides, but the rocket launcher I think is specific to survivor. That can be found around the map to help aid in your quest for escape. They also can achieve what's called a dragon change. So you go around and you collect these little cubes that give you like energy for what's called a dragon change or change power. I know it's really clever of a name. They really just hit it out of the park with this one. This allows you to actually transform into a Z fighter. There's a few in the game. And they are all level based. So for example, like while Krillin might be a level 1 Z fighter that you could transform into, you could all go up to a level 3 if you have enough change power, and you could become like Piccolo or Vegeta or something like that. Even though you are transforming into these characters, it doesn't look like that you have the strength of the Raider or greater. It's enough to give you a fighting chance, but that's about it. I don't know if it's possible to kill the Raider, and I will actually be very interested to see if that is possible. So with all this being said, maybe you've seen the gameplay now by then. Maybe you're going to take my advice and take a look. What is the price tag for this? What is somebody willing to pay for this game that we know is going to have microtransactions just to get like different... Perhaps they have skins or cosmetics. Like there's an ability survivors have. They can summon like a little vehicle to ride around in, and I assume that could be some sort of microtransaction. So what's the price tag? Like what are they going to charge for this game? Well, it's simple. $20. I don't know how much content this game is going to have for the $20, so I cannot really say if the price tag is justified. Now, there is a deluxe edition that you get a little bit of extra stuff with for only $10. You bet your sweet bosom that is the one that I am buying. And, it's just cosmetic stuff. It's nothing crazy. So now I think it's time to ask the question. Is it going to be good? Or will it not be good? Because the English language is just hard. So to give a short answer, long story short, Sales wise, probably gonna flop. Okay, like, don't get me wrong. I'm going to buy this game, and if I have to, I will buy more copies and give them with the intent of forcing other people to play with me, whether they like it or not, because I am a cruel dictator in this realm. But after seeing a lot of comments and threads, a lot of people are actually turned off by this game. And a lot of it seems to be from the online aspect. So, in one video in particular that I watched and read the comments to, there was a lot of comments that were like, well, I was interested until I saw that this game was online. Now I don't think I'm going to buy it. I'm going to pass. So, what did you expect when they have a game that is listed as an asymmetrical multiplayer game? Like, it is a multiplayer game, right? So I assume that there is at least some sort of tutorial or perhaps a prologue. I don't know what kind of story they would do, even if they could put a story mode in this. Some sort of tutorial area that'll have the AI enemies, but I don't think that it was in the cards to ever make like a offline experience. I could be wrong. Even if they could make an offline experience or perhaps a story, there's only 3 villains. So are they going to have you, if you play as a survivor, for example, are you just going to go up against the same 3 villains for like a few hours or like a 10-hour story? That would get pretty old pretty quick, especially because, for example, in a Dead by Daylight format, those games typically last anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes, right? So if you're talking about making a longer offline experience for a game like this, you would have to have way more of a selection of a cast. There would have to be, I don't know, honestly. Like, you'd have to have way more content available than just like 3 characters. I mean, look at a game like Xenoverse 2, right? Like, it's a fighting game. Realistically, like, it is a multiplayer game, but it does have an offline experience because you can fight like different AI like Cybermen, or you can fight like AI characters like Yamcha or whatever, right? Because there is a slew of characters that you can fight, whether they're good or bad. In this game, there's a definitive good and bad that, like, you can't be Oolong fighting against Bulma or the Earthlings, right? Like, it's the 3 raiders against the 7 survivors, or however many there are. There's not a big choice, it seems like. So I'm not sure what they could do with that. So if you look at some of the examples, I listed Dead by Daylight as an example. I mean, you really can't play that game offline. Friday the 13th is another one. I mean, I don't know if there's a way to do... You can do AI survivors. I know you can do that if you play as Jason. I don't know if there's an AI Jason that you can play as a survivor. And as for Dead by Daylight, I don't think that there's any way other than like bots. In the same vein, bots for the survivors. I don't know about the killer, because it's necessarily not the intended experience. If you're going to play an asymmetrical multiplayer game, then you ought to play it in the fashion that it was made for. And so we mentioned the graphics too. A lot of people are kind of turned off by that, which I will say is valid. However, they do step it up on the animations in true Dragon Ball fashion. We've seen it if you've watched any of the series, or if you just look up any kind of the big fights in the arcs. Like, they are very good at displaying the destruction, and it's quite satisfying. I always find it super satisfying. So with everything laid out on the table, here's my question to you. Will you be buying Breakers? Let me know in the comments below. And I wanted to close this out by, as I mentioned before, talking about the future of content for the channel. So I like to do videos such as this, where I can kind of just lay out opinions or perhaps informative takes, bring some things to the table that maybe people were hesitant on, giving some opinions of someone who is fairly new to the Dragon Ball series. I mean, I haven't been watching Dragon Ball for any more than a year. I mean, the original show is just, it's top tier for me, and Dragon Ball Z, in the short amount of episodes that I've watched thus far, has really encapsulated me, and I'm excited to see where it goes in the future. But I also want to do some gaming stuff. So, like, this whole time in the background, you've probably been seeing this Fighter Z content. This is just some of the story mode stuff. No, this you're talking about repetitive story mode stuff. This is it, but it is a super good game. I love to do more content in the realm of that. Whether it is solely Dragon Ball, maybe we do some Let's Play stuff. I can get some edited content for like funny moments. Whatever we can do, I want to hear what you guys want. So leave that down below as well. I'm just giving you guys homework. You know what I mean? Like report back to my class tomorrow. Have this all in hand. We're gonna present, and I'll be ready to give you more. And whatever you guys suggest, I will look into making videos on. And I think that about wraps it. I think that about wraps this one up. So thanks again for watching. If you did enjoy, like I said, leave a like, throw some comments down there, even if it is just to tell me how horrible this video was. I understand. But your mom liked it. I just gotta say, your mom liked it. So I think that's about it. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.